Oh, snap. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. I see a bunch of people came over from TikTok. We did a couple live streams over there. Welcome in, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you take your phone from this to this for a second. Hit that little like button. Hit that little like button, y'all. We got 26 likes right now. Let's get 100 likes. And let's start this case, y'all. This is the murders of Alan and Carla Rutherford. Oh, man. This happened up in Canada, too. Shout out to Canada. Let's jump into this one. You guys ready? Oh, man.
In early July 2018, a late-night house fire in the town of Dundas, Ontario, claimed the lives of two retirees. Alan and Carla Rutherford were known as loving parents, grandparents, and good friends. The blaze had taken hold of their home so quickly, and it had burned so intensely, that investigators at the scene had little doubt. This was no accident.
Oh, damn. By the way, y'all, audio check. Everything sound good? Can you hear me? Can you hear the video? Thumbs up in the chat.
But who could possibly have wished harm on the Rutherfords? Before the night was over, homicide detectives would be handed their first and most crucial lead.
Oh, no.
Alan's dying declarations pointed the finger directly at the individual that he said had lit a match in his bedroom and set the house aflame. Hi everyone, I'm Kevin and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case begins with an accusation. It is enough to set the path of an investigation that would include months of surveillance, search warrants, interrogations, and finally, a case for conviction.
Oh, damn. By the way, make sure you follow that channel, Thought Lounge, I think is what it was. The original video is down in the description, y'all. Show them some love. Give them a little love for letting us watch this video. Boom. Getting that fair use right there. Thank you so much. All right, let's go.
Let's take a look.
Oh, and real quick, I'm sorry. Before we even start, I totally messed up. Critter Vamp, thanks for following. For joining the channel. And Rose and Toes, thanks for the $2 super chat, y'all. Thanks for that. It just helps me go live every night. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. You don't have to, but it is appreciated. All right, let's go.
Dundas is a community and town in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Sitting in close proximity to the main campus of McMaster University and McMaster Hospital, it is home to many students, faculty, and medical professionals. It was just past 3:30 a.m. on a quiet street in Dundas when Karen Monk was awoken by a banging on her front door. When she arose, Karen moved to the front of the house and took in a shocking scene. The man on her porch was severely burned. He was nearly unrecognizable.
Dear Lord.
The man, Alan Rutherford, Karen's longtime neighbor, had to say her name aloud before she realized it was Alan. Smoke from the house where the 63-year-old had miraculously escaped billowed down the street. Neighbors rushed from their homes in their pajamas to take it all in. Calls were placed to 911.
Hamilton Fire Emergency.
Yes, we need everything, please.
Okay, what's the address?
I'm at 7 Greening Court. There must be.
Okay, what's the address?
I'm at 7 Greening Court, but it's next door.
It's 7 Greening Court.
Somebody firebombed. Yes, somebody firebombed my neighbor's house.
Okay, is it the neighbor next door, number 5, or the other one? 8.
I don't know if the.
Is it on fire?
Yes, there's smoke. The whole street is smoke. My neighbor's bleeding. He's covered in burn.
It took only 6 minutes for
Holy
police
hell.
and firefighters to arrive on Greening Court. Alan, or Al Rutherford, was rushed to the hospital by emergency medical services. His wife Carla, he said, was still inside the burning house. He had been unable to save her. Police could not make their way inside the home. The fire had grown too intense. But firefighters were able to gain access before the roof collapsed, retrieving Carla, who had been trapped inside. After the roof collapsed, firefighters used an aerial truck to push back against the flames. It took 40 minutes to get the fire under control. Emergency responders did what they could to save Carla Rutherford, but it was too late. The 64-year-old died on the way to the hospital. Her husband was transported to hospital as well, in critical condition. Al also died later that afternoon. Despite suffering burns on over 90% of
That's terrible.
his body, Al had managed to escape the house by breaking the bedroom window and falling roughly 3 meters to the ground below.
Jesus. What the hell's a meter, though?
The 63-year-old then attempted to return through the flames.
Just kidding, Canada. I'm just kidding. By the way, y'all, hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new here and leave a like on this video.
For his wife.
This is crazy as hell, though. It better not be somebody in the damn family. Watch, it's going to be somebody in the damn family.
And 2 dogs before seeking help from his neighbor. The couple's 2 chocolate labs, who were in the basement, escaped the house unharmed. No one else had been inside the home. Hamilton firefighters had successfully isolated the blaze from neighboring houses. When the Ontario Fire Investigations team arrived, they were able to establish a few facts almost immediately. First was that the fire was set intentionally. A thorough analysis needed to be conducted, of course, but all signs suggested that this was no accident. In the upstairs master bedroom, where Al and Carla had been sleeping that night, the fire burned clear through the hardwood flooring and to the basement far below. Above, the flames had taken out the ceiling and a large portion of the roof. The bed was incinerated, leaving behind a metal frame and the coils of
Holy hell.
the box spring. The window to the room was slid open and broken. A tin with a collection of coins melted inside was retrieved from the bedroom rubble. Meanwhile, whole sections of the remaining house were untouched. The kitchen was intact. Shoes sat by the front door. The cars parked in the driveway out front, and the gazebo with a barbecue and propane tank in the back were likewise untouched.
Oh, man. So somebody went into the bedroom and targeted this couple. Oh, my God.
The fire had caught quickly and burned intensely. It had been started where the damage was the most severe, in the master bedroom. A forensics officer discovered a red and white box of wooden touch matches with red tips sitting just inside of the front door. The box holds 40 matches. There were 39 inside. Around the corner from the house, another matchbox was found. Some matches burnt and others not. These were the same brand that were located inside of the Rutherfords' home. The fire had been substantial, yet localized in the bedroom. Items that remained in this area were collected for testing.
Lynn said, I love the quarter headphones. Thanks. I need them because that's what plugs into the microphone. I can't Bluetooth to this microphone, sadly. Maybe I can get a microphone that does that. I don't know. But I'm sticking with this one for now, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. By the way, my name's Patrick. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, y'all. True crime every single night. We start on TikTok. We move over to YouTube. Y'all hit me with some super chats. Watch what happens when you send a $20 super chat, too. It gets crazy in here, y'all. Somebody check it out. Watch this. Chaotic Billy Joe. Thank you for joining the team as well. Y'all join the team. Click the link that's pinned in the top comment there. All right, let's keep going, y'all.
These included a book and a handful of clothing that had escaped the flames while tucked under other items near to the bed. Fire investigators found these items soaked in medium petroleum and ignitable fluid. Testing could not determine the specific source, however. It could have been a barbecue lighter, kerosene, or even paint thinner. It was deduced that the fire was lit by the bedroom doorway. Otherwise, the person lighting it would have caught on fire. A flammable item, possibly a paper towel or something similar, would have been lit and then tossed into the room towards the bed from the doorway. The investigative team concluded that at least 7 liters of the petroleum had been poured at the base of the bed where Al and Carla Rutherford were sleeping. After 4 days of examining the damaged house, the Hamilton police made an announcement of their findings.
Today, after 4 days of investigation at the fire scene and with the assistance of the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office, the major crime unit is satisfied based on evidence the fire was deliberately set.
The house was the scene of a double homicide. Detectives were already following leads to find the killer. Though the Rutherfords did not have any security cameras on their property, neighbors did. A home a few doors down captured an
There you go.
individual pacing on the street that night at 3:09 a.m. The figure is shown holding something that flashes, burns, and then fades out. It was almost certainly a match. At 3:30 a.m., the figure is shown again, running away from the Rutherfords' house. Who was the man in the video? And who would have wished harm on Al and Carla Rutherford?
I know. I want to know too. Lids, exactly. They look so cute. They're retired too. They worked all their lives saving that money, retirees, and then this happens.
The couple met as co-workers at the Hamilton Health Science Lab at McMaster University. Both had 2 adult children from previous marriages. Al, 2 daughters, Allison and Amelia, and Carla, 2 sons, Chris and Richard. When Al
Which one did it? I don't think it's his daughters, but I'm not getting good vibes from her 2 sons. Which one was it? It was one of them. It was one of her 2 sons, I bet. I got money on it.
Al and Carla married in the spring of 2007,
Y'all let me know who you think. Send a super chat so I can pin it. Tell me your guess right now with a super chat. Let's go.
moved into the home on Greening Court in Dundas, where Carla had raised her 2 boys. Carla was an avid reader, mostly murder mysteries, and Al was very active. He was a fitness buff who ran races,
Yes, I agree.
including the Boston Marathon, and loved cycling. Together, the couple retired and enjoyed traveling and sailboating. After a relationship spanning 2 decades and a marriage of 11 years, the two were the picture of a loving partnership. They doted on their grandchildren and were close with many neighbors. The affection that so many held for the Rutherfords made the tragedy of the fire and the intentional killing even more mind-boggling. During the few minutes that Al, severely injured, awaited the emergency response, he spoke with his neighbor Karen and others. "Is there anyone I can call for you?" he was asked. Al was said to have responded, "Don't call Rich. He's the one who did this. He already knows about it."
Oh, man, I knew it. I freaking knew it. I had a feeling. They're gonna come after you, Rich.
To other
Richard.
witnesses near to him, he said the same. Rich did it for the money. Al told neighbors and medical personnel that he had first tried to escape the bedroom through the doorway, but that he could not. Someone was blocking the door, he said, leaving him no other choice but to break through the window. Emergency medical personnel questioned further. Why would someone named Rich do this? With one of his last breaths, Al replied with one word: financial. Before the remains of the house were demolished, workers cleared the debris from the property. While doing so, one worker spotted a critical item poking up through the burnt rubble: a fireproof safe. Once removed and opened, investigators found a series of important documents inside, including Carla Rutherford's will. The executor was one of her 2 sons, Richard Rich Taylor.
Oh man, we figured it out.
Taylor was not exactly a typical murder suspect, if there is such a thing. The 42-year-old was an elementary school teacher at Hamilton's Hess Street Elementary School, teaching physical education and library. He was married to wife Evangelia, whom family called Vange. They were raising their 2 young children, an 8-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son. The 2 owned a home in Oakville, which is a roughly 30-minute drive from Hamilton. Outside of teaching, Richard enjoyed woodworking. He had recently agreed to take on a project building a display cabinet for his son's model planes. While at his mother's house collecting supplies for the cabinet a few days before her death, Rich took a tumble down the steep stairs that led to the basement. After the tumble, Rich spent 5 hours in the hospital for treatment on his right knee. On the afternoon of July 10th, the day after the fire, members of Al and Carla's families were called into the Central Police Station for questioning. Rich Taylor, limping from his knee injury, was driven to the station by a friend. On the station's security camera, he is shown behind his brother and others entering the building, slowed down by the use of a cane. Rich sat down with Detective Michelle Moore. She showed him the recording equipment inside the room, and she cautioned him that based on the statements made by his stepfather, there was a real possibility that he would be arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
Holy hell.
But Rich wanted to be cooperative. He chose to talk. He also handed over his cell phone to allow law enforcement to extract its data. The teacher spoke fondly of his mother and Al. As the casual topics were dispensed with, the detective asked him to outline where he was on the night of the fire.
Isabel, a quick recap. I got you. So basically, these two were asleep in bed when the house, well, their bedroom specifically, caught fire. He managed to jump out of the window because he said somebody was blocking the door. He ran to a neighbor's house. They call emergency services. They get there. They managed to get her out, but she was deceased. He made it to the hospital, and with his last breaths said Rich did it, which one of her sons is Rich. And so now they're bringing him in to talk to him. And he said, the dad said that it was financial reasons why he would do this.
Explain to you why you're here?
Yeah, he said that when Alan went to the neighbors, he said Rick or something like that. So
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm here to talk to you with regards to that, and because of what he said, I have to caution you.
Well, that's what we talked about.
Okay, so I'm going to read you that right now.
Al loved my mom and made her happy, so I don't.
That's all that matters, right? When this happened, where were you?
I was at home, sleeping with my son.
I highly doubt that, bro.
He came down. I couldn't sleep too much. At about 2:00, I put Netflix on. I was watching Sicario, which is. My son came down. I had to turn it off because it's a pretty violent movie. And he was upset, and he came down, laid with me for about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, maybe around there. When he fell asleep, I took him back upstairs slowly and went back down. I just wasn't sleeping with my wife because my knee, so I was laying on the floor downstairs.
Okay.
Richard explained that he couldn't have started the fire with his injured knee. He could not drive. He struggled to walk. He just physically could not have committed murder.
Doubt it.
Throughout the interview, he repeatedly returned to rubbing his knee. When Detective Moore exited the
Stacy, thanks for the super chat. You're not late, you're right on time.
room, he would examine the leg, grimace, and sigh.
Do you need meds or something for your...
I took some Advil before we came, so.
Not that I'm like supplying them, but I don't know if I'm past like a dosage. You sound like you're
No, it's sore. That's all. It's always sore, so it's not a big deal. But.
So if his injury removed him as a suspect, why would Al have said that he was responsible? Who would wish the couple harm?
That's why I was trying to get what your relationship was like. I wonder where he would get that. Do you know any other Rick or Riches?
I don't know anymore.
To?
The detective in there said, he goes, maybe he was trying to get them to calm. But even like this morning, I said, I don't know anybody on that street.
Barbara, thank you so much. Thanks for the love. You guys are so sweet. I appreciate it. You don't have to do that, but it does help me go live every night.
They were members of the yacht club. I honestly don't know their friend pool.
Was there any enemies that Al had or your dad had?
My dad had?
Al had or...
They said that on Friday when I came over to drop it off, my mom said, "Did you leave a crowbar in our backyard?" And I said, "No, I don't. I have one crowbar and it's in my garage." She's like, "Oh, because Al found a crowbar in the backyard." I'm like, I thought, I didn't think much of it. And when he came back, he was like, "Oh, did you leave a crowbar?" I'm like, "Why would I bring a crowbar when I'm dropping my kids off with you?" And he brought it out and showed me.
Man, he sounds guilty as hell. He sounds guilty as hell. Crowbar. Yeah, you might as well just say you did it.
It was like a big, probably as long as this, big blue octagonal crowbar that he had in between the.
Did you just use the word octagonal? Man, you are guilty as hell.
Gate, and they had a wheelbarrow.
Okay.
And that's the only
And
weird.
when was that found?
That was Friday morning. And
Okay.
when she came over to our house, I kind of joked. When she came over to my house, she was telling my wife about it, and then I kind of joked to my brother, like, "Oh, they're getting old. They can't remember where they're leaving their stuff." Sort of thing.
It seemed extremely unlikely that a stranger would have broken into the home and set the fire. Even more unlikely was the implication that someone had scoped out the home in advance, accidentally leaving behind a crowbar. Furthermore, the house showed no signs of forced entry. Whoever had lit the match had used a key to the front door. That narrowed the list of possible suspects down to a few family members and neighbors, including Rich Taylor. Al's dying utterances accusing his stepson of committing the horrific act gave Hamilton police a clear course of action. By the next morning, a 5-member plainclothes spin team, a police term for a special investigation unit, parked outside of Rich Taylor's Oakville home. They began tracking the primary teacher's movements. The team watched as Rich left his house just after 8 a.m. on July 10th, the day after his mother's death. They followed as he drove out towards his mother's neighborhood in Dundas. He parked in a gravel lot, and then he got out. For the next 20 minutes, Rich walked in a ditch alongside the rural road. His head is down, as though he is searching for something. But even more curious, he walked unencumbered, without the use of his cane.
Oh, damn. Gotcha.
His limp was gone. 2 days later, Richard returned to the police station with the aid of his cane. He may have been collecting his cell phone following the analysis. He was not interviewed on that day. Afterwards, he drove to Tim Hortons, Canada's most ubiquitous coffee shop chain, and then on to the bank.
Timmy's, double.
In the parking lot of the bank, the spin team recorded as he exited his vehicle without his cane and moved around, pacing while on his phone. The next day, July 13th, he accompanied his brother Chris back to the police station. There, and again 2 days later at his mother's funeral, Rich leans heavily on his cane. He appears unable to move around without it. A warrant was obtained to search Richard Taylor's house in Oakville. Inside, investigators found the home somewhat cluttered and unkept. Most noticeable were the fast food menus. A fan of Tim Hortons, Rich had developed a habit of buying daily breakfast and occasional lunches at the restaurant for himself and his children. On the weekends, he picked up coffee, lunch, and treats to bring over to his mother's house. Rich spent money at Timmy's multiple times a day, nearly every day, and he had done so for years. The family appeared to live off of takeout. Other frivolous purchases also stood out. In the children's dresser drawers, police found piles of unworn clothes with the tags still attached, for example. Documents located in the home were compiled to assess the family's financial health. What they found were multiple maxed out credit cards. The interest alone was in the thousands. Bills were overdue. He had defaulted on bank loans totaling more than $70,000. The home internet had been cut off. Rich had reportedly used his Wi-Fi hotspot from his cell phone as a workaround, but then the internet would cut out at the house every time he left. Bad service, he said. The gas provider had also threatened to cut off service. Over the previous 18 months, his accounts had slid in and out of overdraft.
Oh, see? Financial. That's what the dad said. He said he did it because of finances.
Aside from the equity that he had in his home, Richard was in debt an estimated $285,000 Canadian dollars. Also,
Oh, damn.
inside the house, police located a receipt from a Shoppers Drug Mart, time-stamped 8 hours before the murders. Security video from the store showed Rich shopping with his family. They also noted that he was not limping. While police were inside,
Of course not. Stay tuned in the house. Oh, snap. It's Patrick. Good to see you. Long time no see. Welcome in, y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the video, especially if you like true crime.
his house, Rich sat in a police cruiser. He was adamant that Al's dying statements about him were absurd. He was recorded as stating, "I can't even walk down the steps. I can't drive. I mean, how am I getting there? I can't even walk down. How am I going to get there and light their house on fire?" When
Well, you did it.
asked if he was having any financial difficulties,
So tell us how you did it.
his answer was brief. "No," he said simply. Meanwhile, investigators in his kitchen opened a drawer and found a box of matches. Touch brand wooden matches with red tips. The same brand found at his mother's house, and those discarded under a tree less than a block away. On January 23, 2019, Detective Barazik of the Hamilton Police Department held another press conference.
The investigative team is announcing that Richard Taylor, 42 years old, of Oakville, has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his mother, Carla Rutherford, and his stepfather, Alan Rutherford. We believe Richard Taylor acted alone, and the murder of his mother and stepfather was financially motivated.
Dear Lord.
Upon his arrest, Richard was brought in for questioning once again, this time with Sergeant Troy Ashbaugh.
Richard?
Yes.
Troy Ashbaugh. Sorry to meet you under these circumstances. A couple of things I want to make sure you understand. Everything in here is going to be audio and video recorded.
He was confronted with his earlier lies about his financial situation. Was that not a motive for murder? By this time, investigators had spoken with multiple friends and family members from whom Rich had borrowed money over the years. He had not repaid them. Rich discounted his financial situation as a motive. It would be years before he would even see any of his mother's money, he said. A claim that was demonstrably false. The previous summer,
Yeah, that sounds crazy as hell. Who would say that?
a check for over $17,000 from Carla's life insurance company was deposited into Rich's account. That same day, there was a $4,000 cash withdrawal. Despite also receiving a few thousand in regular pay during this time, just over a week later, the account was down to $10,000. By October, it was overdrawn. Rich had spent all the money he had, mostly at restaurants. He explained that his
Jesus.
spending habits during this time came down to grief. He ate, he said.
Oh, God. Sounds like you need to learn how to cook, dude. My God.
Because he was distraught over the murder of his mother. Rich also received
You mean distraught from doing it?
at least $21,000 from a joint account with his brother, created to disperse money from their mom's tax-free savings account. Over $6,800 in probate fees owed from that account were not paid. Rich claims the check he wrote was lost in the mail. His brother Chris ended up paying it. Rich
Oh, wow.
was unaware of the existence of 2 key pieces of incriminating video evidence. The spin team's surveillance of his ditch walk the day after the murders, and the home security camera that captured a man lighting matches on the street just prior to the house fire. When examining the security footage from the neighbor's home, Rich dodged every attempt to acknowledge that the figure in the video was lighting a match. His avoidance is made more suspicious given the proximity of the camera footage to the house fire, in both location and timing. But maybe the footage shows nothing more than a cell phone, or maybe kids with fireworks.
What I'm looking for, what would you describe happening in that video?
Well, there's some sort of flash of light coming out, but this person walking and they went back and forth and there was some sort of flash of light.
And what do you think the flash of light was?
I don't know. It could have been something on fire. I didn't know what it was at first when I saw it. It looked like a flash on them.
Yep.
I don't know. When that happened, I thought it was maybe a cell phone or something, like a
Yep.
like a light.
I get that too. I'd never thought of that.
Like it could be like a firecracker or something. I don't know.
A firecracker or a cell phone? Dear God, your mom and your stepdad passed away because of what you're seeing. And you're going to be like, it looks like a cell phone, maybe a firework. What? I'd be like, that's a damn match. That's what caused it. Who is that guy? We need to get that person. That is the murderer. We have to get them. Who is this person? Unless that person is you, Rich. I'm thinking that person is you, Rich. Because anybody else would be like, that's obviously the person who did this. That's a lighter or a match or something. We need to find out who that is. Crazy as hell. Y'all hit the like button real quick. Make sure you subscribe to the channel too if you like true crime.
And then he walks back.
The surveillance taken by the spin team of his ditch walk the day after the murders was played for Rich multiple times.
Oh man, here we go. He's gonna be like, well, it just didn't hurt that day. I took a whole bunch of Advils.
Who's that walking in the ditch?
I don't know.
Don't recognize that person?
Play it again? No.
He didn't recognize himself twice. Come on, Rich.
Who's that?
I can't tell.
Can't tell? Who do you think it might be?
Damn, even the detective's like, you can't tell? You can't tell? Who do you think it might be?
It looks like it could be me.
It looks like it could be you? What an idiot.
It is you. So what were you doing walking in that ditch?
I'd driven by there the day before after I heard my mom. I went for a drive by myself. And when I got back, I realized something had flown out the window. Some papers had flown out the window, and I went back to see if they were there.
Rich later revised this
Some papers?
explanation. On the morning following the news,
Stay tuned. Never be a Richard. Yup. This dude is a Richard for show. This is crazy as hell, though. Crazy as hell. Let's keep going.
of the murders, he had traveled out to his mother's home, near to the baseball diamond where he played as a kid. He had fond memories of his mother and childhood there. At the diamond, he wrote down what he called love memories about his mother. These notes then accidentally flew out of the car window into the ditch, he said. He got out of the car to look for his love memories in the ditch. His explanation...
Dear God, you sound crazy. You sound like crazy as hell Will Byers acting crazy over here. My now memories. Your what? You mean your love memory? What the hell are you talking about? This is craziness, dude. Nobody talks like that. That's from Stranger Things, and that's a TV show.
Such as it is, fails to account for how he managed to walk with no limp and no cane.
Yeah, that part.
And the thing that is very clear about all these pictures, there's no cane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me about that.
I left it in the car because walking through that stuff, get the cane would be very good.
When asked to identify the injured leg, Rich initially identified the wrong one.
Oh, Lord, you crazy as hell.
Okay, but where's the limp?
I'm limping there. Like, I don't know. You want to see?
Which leg is injured?
It was this one, I think, on the left. Oh, that's right. I don't know. Which one was it? Yeah.
Sergeant Ashbaugh remained unconvinced by Rich Taylor's explanations, and the suspect's next tactic was equally unsuccessful. Rich suggested that his stepfather could have started the fire himself. Only months earlier, Rich had described Al affectionately. The father and stepfather had rushed back inside the burning house in an attempt to save his wife and dogs, all the while suffering from his injuries. Nonetheless, Rich suggested that Al had killed his mother.
And then burned himself, but then jumped out of the window trying to save himself? Man, you are crazy as hell.
I didn't do it, and I don't think you looked into other avenues either that much. So,
What other avenue should I look into?
well, I've talked to 2 police officers who, when I say what we knew, say it looks like Al did it.
You're saying Al killed your mom and then
I'm saying
accidentally killed himself and then blames you. That's what you're saying?
I'm saying it's a possibility.
Sergeant Ashbaugh then outlined to Rich the theory that investigators had developed. Rich had made the 30-minute drive from Oakville to Dundas at around 3 a.m. His wife believed he was asleep downstairs with his bad knee and never came down to check on him. He paced on the street around the corner, lighting matches and working up the courage to do the deed. Then, he quietly entered his childhood home using a spare key. Items at the foot of the bed were soaked in an ignitable fluid. From the bedroom doorway, he lit the match and threw it towards the bed. It can be deduced from Al's later statements that the 63-year-old awoke, perhaps even spotted Rich, and tried to leave via the bedroom door. He could not escape this way, however, because Rich was holding it shut. Ontario's Attorney General decided the case would go straight to trial with no preliminary hearing. They believed that the evidence was overwhelming. During the trial, which lasted roughly 4 weeks, Evangelia Taylor testified to the devious means through which her husband had concealed their financial difficulties. Amongst the documents seized from their home were fake bank statements, showing that the family had tens of thousands of dollars in savings. Rich had used original bank statements with new numbers cut and taped onto them to fool his wife. Believing they were financially secure, Evangelia had planned a family vacation to Greece. The flights had been a gift, but once the family landed, they would need to pay for hotels and food. Yet, there were no working credit cards, and only a few dollars remaining in Rich's account.
Oh, hell no. This dude did all this so that his family could go to Greece? Oh my God, you're gonna burn in hell for that.
The defense team argued that poor spending habits and lying to one's wife does not make someone a murderer. However,
Yeah, but doing what you did to your mom and stepdad does. Rich.
timing of this planned trip was crucial. The family was due to fly out only 2 days following the murders. This marked the end of the line for Rich's lies, unless he implemented a horrific plan to cover his debts. By the time of the trial, Evangelia had separated from her husband. She also managed to clear the debt by placing the family home on the market. The sale covered outstanding debts and left her a small profit. Selling the home had been an option to Rich to rid himself of the debt for years. The Crown prosecutors argued that Richard refused this option out of sheer pride. It would have meant admitting to his debts and his lies. On the stand, Richard admitted to faking the extent of his knee injury.
That is crazy as hell. Patrick, why am I seeing ads during live stream? I have no idea. Because YouTube is crazy as hell too.
He was also ashamed, he said, for lying to friends and family members for years about his finances. But he was not lying about the fire. He was not a murderer. The Crown prosecutor questioned him. It was only because of Al's dying words that police knew, wasn't it? To which Rich responded, I was at home. If Al had not had the strength to jump out of the window, you would have gotten away with it. Rich said, I haven't gotten away with anything. I did not kill my mother and Al. After 2 days of deliberations, the 6 men and 6 women of the jury found Richard Taylor guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder. The conviction in Canada is punishable by a mandatory life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. During the sentencing, Superior Court Justice Tony Scarica assured the jury that he would have come to the same conclusion that they did. The judge spoke directly to Rich Taylor. You were a very unusual criminal. The judge noted that he had a happy upbringing, a loving mother, and a supportive stepfather. How you turned out this way with your background is beyond me, the judge stated.
Damn.
You're a monster, and you should never see the light of day. You threw that match. Crown prosecutors and the the Hamilton police later told the public that it was Al Rutherford that ensured justice in this case. His dying declarations led straight to the killer.
It was a tragic, horrific case. Alan was a hero in jumping out the window and telling everyone who did this.
Without Alan pointing us in the right direction, we may not have been able to do this for the family and get to the proper conclusions.
Richard Taylor has filed an appeal of his conviction. He argues in part that Al Rutherford's statements to neighbors and emergency responders at the scene are hearsay, not dying declarations. And
What? Oh my God.
should never have been presented as evidence at his trial. It could be years before all of his appeals are exhausted.
Oh my God. That is crazy as hell. That dude, just for like, because he couldn't handle his money. That he's like, you know what? This is a great idea. Let's unalive my mom. Oh, I'm on YouTube. Let's murder my mom and burn my stepdad alive as well. You are crazy as hell, dude. Jesus. So he could go to Greece? Are you kidding me? Well, that was gross, right, Ashley? Crazy as hell. What the hell is wrong with these people? Anyways, y'all, thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all these live streams, y'all. We did 2 on TikTok. We did 1 on YouTube now. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. When I end this stream, y'all, it's gonna make this like a regular video. Make sure you go leave a like. Go leave a comment on the video. Let me know what you thought about it. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you come hang out in the TikTok live stream tomorrow, y'all. And then we'll see you back on YouTube. Have a good night, everybody. I love you guys. Adios.